Welcome back to the Comfy Chairs, a podcast from 123 Limited. This is your host, Kate. I had a light bulb moment a while back while sitting in my comfy chair. The line drawn between managing and leading, it misses the point. I remember thinking, I don't want to work for a manager who can't lead, and I don't want to follow a leader who can't manage. Now, I'll admit to casually using these terms interchangeably, but I've known many people who are firmly committed to one or the other, and who place greater value on one over the other. So as we near the end of the third season of this podcast about leading and learning, it seems fitting to explore what differences, if any, exist between managing and leading, and how these practices may rely upon each other. And when I encountered my guest's motto, manage like a leader, I knew she was the perfect person to join me for this conversation. Layci Nelson is the founder and president of the Transcend Leadership Collective and host of the Confessions of a Terrible Leader podcast. Welcome to the Comfy Chairs, Layci. Thank you for joining me. As I've shared, I like to pause so that my guest can introduce herself. Please, take it away.
Well, thank you. I'm excited to be here and to be in conversation with you and talk to your listeners. And who am I? Where do I come from? So I am the CEO or founder of the Transcend Leadership Collective. And what we do at the Transcend Leadership Collective is we help leaders figure out what it takes to be worthy of being followed. And we do that because we believe that every person, no matter where they're at in the organization, what level of influence, they deserve the opportunity to go to work every day and be motivated, engaged, and inspired. And knowing how to make that happen for your people is a whole bunch of skills stacked up on top of each other. And that's what we teach, is the real practicality of how to do that through workshops, strategic planning, and then we have really effective leadership intensives that people can go through at multiple levels of management, all the way from the boardroom to frontline managers.
It's wonderful. You are speaking my language and singing my favorite song, really. Now, that intensive, I was doing a little bit of online stalking research for you last night, and that's the lift, correct?
Yes, the Lift is our flagship program. So that is back when I was a solopreneur. It's on like version 5 point something at this point, but that was the very first thing that I built when it was just me, when it wasn't that I had built out to really help leaders figure out, how the heck do I do this? And then we have different coaching modalities, and we'll hit different high points in the curriculum depending upon where do they fall in the organization, how much experience do they have. So we have base camp approach, which base camp actually is, it sounds the most basic. There's a logic to this, but it's actually for the people with the highest level of title after their name. And it all, though, ties back into our founding principles. So, yes.
Yeah. Wonderful. That is, again, I'm very glad that we found each other, because it feels like our philosophy, approach, what we want for employees and leaders, beautifully aligned. And I'm very excited to have today's conversation with you.
Yes.
That manage like a leader is... It's chef's kiss as far as I'm concerned, because there is this propensity to make a distinction between managing and leading that I personally don't entirely agree with. So I'd like us to start by talking a little bit about what is that distinction that we have seen traditionally made. Managing is what, leading is what. What are your thoughts and experience?
Well, and I love that you say traditionally, as we've seen, and how it's taught, right, in the textbooks and taught in quotations. So typically we are given, here is what a manager does. A manager keeps things on it keeps the trains running on time. The manager keeps the
Mm-hmm.
trains running on time. The manager typically isn't the person, their role typically isn't casting vision. It's not necessarily feeling an accountability to inspire their people. Mind you, I'm not saying what it should be. I'm saying how we're taught.
Yep.
It's not feeling the it's not feeling that they need to do anything other than, and this is a big then, right? Like it's not like it's a small job, but keep things running. They want
Mm-hmm.
it. They're not, they've been tasked with running a department, running a line, running a piece of the organization, and their job is to meet the benchmarks of success and get their people in alignment and make sure they're accomplishing their work so that the organization, the department is going to be accountable to the organization to hit those benchmarks.
Yeah.
That's management in a very big nutshell.
It is a very big nutshell because it's a very big job just
Yes.
doing all of that. And you used, I think, one of the key words that gets associated with management: task. It is a task-oriented
Yes.
role. Daily routine, again, keeping the lights on, keeping the train on schedule. Love that metaphor.
Mm-hmm.
So then you started to hint at some of the things that have been filed under leader, like being a visionary, being inspirational. What else?
Yes. Those things, being a visionary, being inspirational, being the person that can help people understand this is where we're going as an organization, and this is why you should be part of it, and this is why your contribution matters. That usually is shuffled under, oh well, this is what the leadership does. And they also are often charged with, and I believe appropriately so, being the culture keepers.
Mm-hmm.
They are the torchbearers of the culture, the core values. And where we get in trouble is when we think it's supposed to stop with them, but that's later in our discussion, I think. So,
so many opinions there.
But they are the ones that should be the first to point to where we're in alignment or out of alignment with all of those things I just listed as an entire organization. Are we culturally in alignment? Are we aligned, rowing in the right direction to where we need to go? They're often charged with setting strategy. Like they're going to give you the train schedule. Here's the schedule. Now you get it. You get us where we need to go on time. Those are the typical distinctions we see in leadership. From your perspective, what did I leave out?
I think you managed to capture it all. I do think that we tend to ascribe certain titles as well. And unfortunately, I do think that some of those titles are given more value than others.
Oh, yeah.
Which is another thing that I have a soapbox about that all work is noble and all roles are necessary.
Yeah.
I mean, there are jobs I would not want to do.
Right.
From being a janitor to being a CEO for a large company. However, they all are contributors.
Yep.
And they all have opportunities to lead as well.
Yes, they do.
To, kind of to some of what you were talking about with what your organization focuses on and teaches. I think the biggest distinction that beyond those descriptive, those nutshell ways of talking about it, that I think is important to highlight before we go much deeper is that leader has this sparkle about it, that there's somehow it is a better thing to lead than to manage.
Right.
Attitude that has seeped in to workplace culture and thinking. And I'll be very honest, that bothers me deeply. I think it is highly problematic because both of those functions that we've outlined are necessary. And in roles where people have responsibility for directing, guiding, coaching, all the things that get wrapped up in that manager bucket, there has to be space for both things to happen.
Yes.
Which is sort of why would we want to blur the lines between managing and leading question? Why is that? I've started, but I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, okay, fun statistic, shocking statistic, but I don't think it will surprise you. There's been research done fairly recently, last couple of years, that has shown that a person's direct supervisor, manager, whatever their title is, doesn't matter. But the person that they report to has more impact on their mental health than their therapist does.
Exactly.
And equal impact to their spouse.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's exactly right.
So that's wild. If you really stop and think about, as a person, that if you run a team, what you do every day at work matters on a massive scale to the people that report to you. I don't care what you call yourself or what your title is on your whatever email. So,
there's so much research that newest way of talking about it, the impact on mental health, adds to the scholarship on that. That over time, management has proven to be the number one reason why people leave jobs.
Yes.
The direct manager is the greatest influence when it comes to things like the stickiness of learning when people go through training.
Yes.
The leader impacts every aspect. That pay can be abysmal, but if you have a good manager and all other things are equal, you'll stay for management over pay. And it is no surprise to hear that bundled up in that the person who leads your day-to-day experience at work impacts not just the workplace, but what happens on your insides as well.
Yeah. And in turn, your entire family.
Right?
Yes.
Right? It's a wonderful observation.
We like to create this illusion that we leave our home baggage at the door when we go to work, and we drop our work baggage at the door when we step back across the threshold to home. And that is, I hate that phrasing. And it's first of all, it's not possible, because that is not how humans function. And it is giving a free pass for crappy management and leadership to really people need to really own and understand at a deep level the impact that they're having. And if it feels a little bit scary, good, you're starting to get it. So
yes, this may be the one time I regret not doing a video based podcast, because there's no way in audio to have it as evident of how much agreement I am in with you. You should enter the job of leading, managing with a little bit of fear and trembling.
Yes. And it doesn't, and that's why, blurring the line, it doesn't matter to the people that report to you if you are like, oh, no, I'm not your leader. You're their leader. Whether you want to be their leader or not, functionally, you are their leader for everything we just talked about. And you can absolutely set within your unit, within your team. If you're in part of a larger organization and you're feeling stuck and frustrated, like, oh, I don't embrace or have the leadership I need to know how to direct towards vision, because the larger one hasn't been cast clearly. First of all, you can upwardly manage and ask a lot of great questions to pull that what you need for your team out of your boss. So there's that. And get the clarity, at least a higher degree of it. Then you owe it to your team to you should be casting vision for your team as to why your team should walk with some swagger, right? Like,
I think you need to be able to cast vision for the length of the shift. I come from a healthcare background, so
yes,
high stakes, high emotions.
yes,
In the acute and critical care arena, you face really hard things, and this is something I would talk with clinical managers about. Is managing vision and purpose isn't just the big stuff. It's also, I have a vision. We have a mission that everybody's going to get to the end of the day without crying. Even that can be a vision that you cast for here's how we're going to have a smooth shift. The next 12 hours are going to function in this way that aligns with everything else. That's vision.
That is absolutely vision.
I remember when I first started working in hospitals, there was this concept for nurse managers to approach the work of managing their unit as the CEO. The CEO of your unit was the language that was used.
Yeah.
And it was this understanding at the time. Now, granted, this was 25 years ago, but it was this understanding that you had to execute. You had to do things like set daily vision. You had to manage budget. Like everything was under that purview for that individual. And I feel like there's been control pulled away. And obviously most of my experience is healthcare, but I've seen it in other sectors as well, where people with bigger titles have pulled some of that control away from the frontline management. And I can understand some of the rationale, but I think in a lot of ways we've lost agility. We've lost engagement because
ownership.
of that. Ownership. Yeah.
It's really hard to feel like you own something that as, a shift leader, if you don't really, so I think it's important to identify the things that they can't take away from you as a shift leader and as a nurse manager, like leaning into those. And if I'm not healthcare, so if I get terminology wrong, just replace it in your brains with the right terms. And thank you for your grace. So having the things that can't be removed from you, the things they can't take away the cultural expectations that you set for your team, for your shift. So what I mean by that is like the way that you expect people to respond and interact with patients, the way that you expect people to connect with each other as teammates. What is respectful behavior? What is disrespectful behavior? What does, for instance, here's a really powerful one that I like to introduce to any team we're working with in any industry, if they haven't heard it already. Just setting the standard. The low bar is we don't talk about each other. We talk to each other when we have an issue.
Beautiful.
And when you are in a position of leading a team, managing a team, you get to set those internal operating standards and you get to set your own culture of your team. And your own vision for this is how we function. This is how we treat each other. This is how we treat our patients. This is how, this is why it matters. And of course, if you have the structure to clearly connect it to the higher purpose of the organization as a whole, do that. And awesome. Not all of us have that. If you don't have that in place, it doesn't mean you can't create it on a micro level for your own team.
Yeah.
And having that for that sense, people want sense of purpose.
They do.
Of why their work is important and why it matters. And the other thing that people really want, especially with younger people coming in, younger versions of humans, I guess, coming in, Gen Z coming into the workforce. And by the way, every single generation complains about the generation that comes after them. So just throwing that out there.
And before them, right? Like
and before them. Yes. Yeah. We're great. Everyone else is dumb. Yeah. So
well, I will I'm sorry. I'm so sorry to interrupt. I just want to make a footnote here so that you're not surprised. I have talked probably more than I ought to about my opinions about the whole generation conversation.
I didn't know that.
I think it is highly problematic that we categorize people in that way when a lot of times what we're talking about is stage of life.
Yes.
And
yes.
universal needs and wishes.
Yes.
So, yes, because I think where I sense you're going is that younger employees, people who are earlier in their career, are in some ways demanding of employers that they provide more clarity, that there's more purpose and mission driven connection to the work that they're doing. And the fact of the matter is that is also what people my age, people older than I am, that we crave and desire. I know that Maslow's hierarchy is sometimes out of favor and out of style, but you do...
It's still relevant.
It is still relevant. You do see that there's... It all convenes in that. That going from like my physical body is taken care of, the essentials are addressed, I am safe, to I can have a deeper, more purposeful life.
Right.
As you go up the triangle. So I think, not to derail us too much, I think, yes, you have to pay attention to what newer employees are wanting, but not at the expense of recognizing that they are giving voice to what everyone wants. Because, I would say because their parents taught them so.
Oh,
whether they intended to or not.
I'm raising 2 Gen Zs, and they're on the back end of Gen Z. They're not in the workforce yet, but raising them right now. And I listen to them talk about their emotions and like what frustrates them, and when they're having conflict in relationships. I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys are like light years. I'm not going to take full credit for that. There's also other caring adults in their lives that work with them, but they are light years ahead in communication and knowing how to communicate emotionally effectively. But because they've been raised in a different climate.
Yeah. Well, I learned it from watching you. And it can be, I've learned how to do it because you do it well, mom and dad, or I've learned how to do it because I don't want what you experience. And I think that's probably a lot of what we're seeing in that current, the influx of earlier professionals is that they have watched their parents have bad experiences at work and are saying, no, not me.
I'm not going to do that.
Right?
Yeah, that is so valid. Like, or they were the ones that their parents gave everything for the job and they paid the price at home. Their parents lived to work and they're like, I'm not willing to make that sacrifice.
Exactly.
And one of the things that, yes, in alignment, agreement with everything you said. And yes, we are meaning makers as humans need to create meaning. Everything we do, our brains automatically are going, why did that happen? We're looking for the meaning in it. And something for younger generations that they have the language. I think part of it is we have the language now where we didn't have the language before. It doesn't mean we didn't want it. We just didn't know how to talk about it or how to ask for it.
Yes.
And so core value alignment, like they want their own personal internal core values, which they might not have the words for them, but they have them. We all have them. It just takes the work of sussing out and wrapping words around it. But if something is really not sitting well with us, it often is because it's in violation of one of our own, or perceived violation or contradiction with one of our own personal core values. Yes. And that is where younger generations have better language and typically higher skill levels to talk about why they don't. Why? No, I am setting a boundary.
Yes.
That can be really challenging for leadership. I don't know how we got here, but I love this conversation.
Love it. I do too. And you're starting. So I do think that we can pull this back into, the the quote unquote theme or topic of
Yeah.
discussion, is what we're kind of talking about is that people watch the folks that have influence in their lives, whether by choice or circumstance.
Right.
You know,
Right.
we don't choose our parents, but they have influence on our lives. So we learn lessons from them. We don't always choose our boss.
No.
I think ultimately you get to choose whether or not you remain with, but
yes,
you know, it's things happen around you at work that you may not have total control over.
Oh my gosh, we're in like the season of mergers and acquisitions now with where the economy's at. Like, I know in healthcare it's a big thing. In a lot of our industries we work with, that gets you a new boss like tomorrow.
Oh yeah, I went through a period of time. I think I had 5 new bosses in 3 years.
Oh my gosh, that's exhausting.
It was, but you know, you do unfortunately get used to it.
Yep.
But you're watching those people who have a great impact on your experience and your well-being, and you're learning lessons from them. Yeah. And I think that's one of the reasons that we need to pay attention to. It's not just managing or just leading as traditionally defined, that there has to be a merger between those functions and the mindsets and priorities that we associate with them. Because if as a quote unquote manager, you're not thinking about culture, you're not thinking about engagement, well-being, direction, those things are going to happen anyway.
Yep.
And are they what you intend them and want or need them to be? Yep. Or are they other things that fill the vacuum you've left? Yep. And for people who are quote unquote leaders, if you're not attuned to and in touch with the routine tasks of your workplace, some of the decisions and direction that you're setting may not actually meet the needs of your people. Yeah. So I feel like it's easy for us to say, well, of course, managers need to also lead. What about the other side of that equation? Leaders, quote unquote. What level of management acumen do they need if we are saying that they have these different flavors?
I love that question. So leaders should have the fundamental understanding and capability of basic project management, which sounds trite. It might sound like, well, of course, how would they have gotten to that level? But we all know that they get sometimes they do get promoted, not because they are excellent at managing projects, but maybe they're really good at a singular technical skill, or the Peter principle.
I was going to say, or they're really good at managing the person who makes the decisions.
That as well.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think what can happen is people that are hyper visionary, and I'm one of those. So I am speaking right now to like my own areas where I know I have weakness, that I have to I can't just say, oh, I don't do details. I don't, and I'm not a details person. I mean, I can say that, but that is an abdication of my responsibility as a leader to be aware of the details, because where does impact to your people happen? It happens in the details.
It certainly does.
It happens in the details of the execution. And so I need to understand, I don't maybe need to be the person that creates all of the details that need to go into it, but I need to at least understand what I'm looking at and be asking questions about the details and looking for gaps and inefficiencies and potential human impact issues. And so where leaders need to that are heavy on the leader, and I love that title, I own it, I'm a visionary, and again, I'm not belittling, I am one of those people. We absolutely have to understand that we need to be asking the right questions, and be aware of the impact of implementation of the vision. And you can't do that if you don't at least have a curiosity about the management of the implementation.
Yes. I think that is a wonderful point, a skill set, a knowledge base to highlight, that there has to be the ability to toggle back and forth, and some savvy about how do I stay in touch as I get farther away from being an individual contributor, whether it's, I don't know that I'm necessarily advocating for this as being the go-to, but the first thing that comes to mind, things like employee surveys, but they have to be actually put to use.
Oh God, don't do one and don't use it. That's like the worst thing you can do.
And it's the most common thing that gets done.
It's the easiest thing.
Yeah. But also talking with managers, being present in those moments where the people doing the work, where they have opportunities to contribute to decisions as well.
Yes.
I think if I were queen, I would say that we call everyone that has some level of responsibility and authority over people, projects, units, all the stuff, that we generically refer to that as leadership. And that manager is a title that's reserved for, I manage a function or a team.
Yep.
So that we let that broader picture that gets coupled to details be the way we think about leadership overall.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Management is ops. You got to be a good ops director.
Right.
And so, and leadership, you need to understand what ops is doing. You don't need to have your hands in it every day, but you also need to go walk the floor for ops. You need to walk the ops floor, whether it's a hospital wing floor, whether it's the ER, whether it's a factory,
whether it's an office building, whether it's a retail setting, a restaurant. You have to lay your own hands and eyes on the work at some point with regularity.
100% with regularity. If you are perceived as just hiding in your ivory tower or being inaccessible, you're going to be perceived as hiding in your ivory tower and not being accessible. We have a company, a very large organization that we work with in food processing industry. And and I was doing some base camp coaching, one-to-one coaching with their CEO, and he had this pivotal moment of he had come up through the ranks and had gone from ops into leadership at the CEO level, and was and this is a 9-figure company, so this is a huge organization and vertically integrated, all of that, a lot of complexity. And for so long, he had operated in that management mindset, get stuff done, go, ops, and then stepped into the CEO role and had a very, I think he would admit it as well, a pretty rough transition. And I didn't start working with him until he's now looking at his succession plan.
Wow.
Okay, I'm hitting that age. But he had figured a lot of things out the hard way, and he was like, oh my God, I wish I would have brought you on board 30 years ago, because you would have saved me a lot of pain. And we're building out now leadership pipeline for their whole organization, which is super fun and great. But he had this pivotal aha moment with the phrase, the people are the work. And for him, that was I get it. He had gotten it intellectually, but he hadn't gotten it all the way through his body, right? To where everything, brain, heart, soul, is aligned. And he actually was feeling it's a successful company, and he was like, I'm getting bored. I'm getting antsy. And we really did some work in digging into what was happening, and it was coming down, and purpose. He's like, I feel like I'm drifting. Um and it came down to he had not yet made that mindset shift going into this later phase of his career, where you're shifting gears now. Like, you got all this stuff running great. You now are absolutely in the mentorship, people are the work, training your replacement, slowing down to go fast. Like, finding your replacement,
Mm-hmm.
creating the vision for, because this company had grown so quickly over time and had been so successful, there hadn't really been the slowdown to catch the leadership infrastructure up
Mm.
with when I say infrastructure, I mean like the pipeline for intentional
Yes.
development of those people to catch it up with the success of the company. And so he had this total mindset shift of, and then they were paying the price for that on the back end, which we all will, right? So he had this mindset shift of like, the people are the work. Well, he started making it writing it into his calendar every week. He goes and spends a minimum of, I think he said, 2 hours, and I hold him to it when we check in. Like, show me your calendar.
Yay.
Um, did you do it? Walking the floor
Good.
or walking the catwalks in at being there with the people, walking the offices. And he said the impact that that makes, he knew it intellectually, but it still like blows his mind how effective taking that time to go slow to go fast, and how much more in touch he is with where things actually are. Because he also recognizes when you're at that level, you're often going to get a lot of very filtered, very sugar coated feedback.
Mm-hmm.
And if you also
100%.
couple, if you, that's even with great people skills and telling people, you can tell me anything, you have to back it up with all of the evidence behind it.
Yeah.
And yeah,
That
he's now
is
making great gains, and it's really exciting to watch.
that is a wonderful success story, Layci, and it's exactly finding that balance, and the people or the work is the solution. The relationships at work are where the work actually happens.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's in negotiating resources, making connections, and being able to get things done quickly, or just having support as you do the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Relationships are the fundamental skill everyone needs to be able to master to succeed in the workplace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I will put a stake in the ground on that.
A million percent.
Yeah.
And it's not something you can outsource to AI either.
Nope. It is not. It is not. And what we need is leaders that recognize that, prioritize, and reward it too.
Yes. Yes.
That results are only one part of the overall picture of successful work, but particularly successful management or leadership.
Right.
The next place I want to take us in this conversation, it's sort of branching off of the purpose, and you've talked about values as well. When I was doing my research for today, one of the things I loved seeing in how you talk about preparing leaders is kind of connecting and aligning to core values. And you were discussing that earlier too, is just a general practice.
Yeah.
I think this is a really important topic when we discuss leadership, values as a baseline, whether it's company values or individual values. And I would be interested to hear kind of two things. And let's see if I can break this down clearly. There's the why do values matter? That sort of softball question.
Yeah, yeah.
But the more immediate question is, as an individual, what do you think we need to do to identify our own values? What's a process or a methodology that someone could take away from listening to today?
I love that.
I have opinions,
Yeah.
but I want to hear yours.
Excellent. Okay. These are both great questions. So why do they matter? Thank you for that softball. Why do they matter? Core values. Core values matter because, well, first of all, we all have them. Whether we say we have them or have identified them, as I alluded to earlier, they're there and they're guiding our behavior, whether we're conscious of it or not.
Correct.
So core values at the organizational level, core values should be your culture in action. Core values should be translated as expected behaviors, that this is how we are with one another, with our vendors, with our clients, with our customers. They are you, if you cannot link expected behaviors to core values, or if when you do link them, it's not quite right, you don't have the accurate core values identified. So often what we do is we swing for the fences with core values, personally and in organizations. And when I say swing for the fences, we make them aspirational, not realistic. Mm-hmm. Or we say, this is who we think we should be, or who we hope we are, or who we are supposed to have the word integrity in our core values, or no one will trust us.
Yep.
So those aren't actually core values if they're not true. And I'll tell you right now, organizationally, if you're professing core values that you don't practice, your employees will see that hypocrisy within 2 weeks of working there. They'll see it in onboarding.
Exactly. They'll see it in the interview process these days.
Yes.
They'll see it on social media when they're thinking about joining you.
Thank you. Yes. They're shopping for you right now. So when you're looking at attracting the top talent, they're intelligent, they're capable, they're checking you out. They are really looking at, do your values align with your actions? And if they don't, they're not going to want to be a part of it. If they're a top shelf player, they're like, nope, that's a mess. They know what to look for, and they see that as the flag that it is. So understanding that there is no correct set. Research tells us there's no correct set of core values. What is critical is having them and making sure that they are actually real and not aspirational or the pay to play. We have to say this because, no one will trust us or whatever, all the reasons that we spin. So there's that. On a personal level, we do the same thing when we think about our core values. We do it on a micro level of, this is what I'm supposed to be, or this is the kind of person I want to be. Like, I want to be someone who loves to go camping. You know what? I'm not. I am not someone. I love to go hiking, but put me in a bed at night and give me a shower at the end of the day. Like, and don't make me work super hard to cook meals. Like, come on. Why is this fun? I don't understand it. So for a long time, because my husband is a very outdoorsy person, I used to think when we were dating, like, oh gosh, I gotta pretend I love this camping thing, or I'm really gonna just be this person that likes to camp. Poor guy. That was not fair to him.
I understand that very deeply.
So, I mean, that is a fun, silly example, but we do that in so many areas of our life, right? We think to be accepted, to be included, to be, this is who I need to be. So I'm going to morph myself into this odd shape. And it doesn't work, and it doesn't last. And we've been married 25 years, and the man now knows, guess what? I don't like camping. So, those are the things we need to be on guard for. So how do we figure out, like you asked, like, what's the process? How do we get to this? How do we litmus test if this is real? Like, are we just pay to play? Are we lying to ourselves? The first thing I like to encourage is you shouldn't have more than 3. And we often like to we can't decide. So we're like, I have 15 core values. These are all important to me.
Well, that is such a great point, Lacey, because I think there's a sense of if I leave something out, I'll be judged for it. You talked about the pay to play style.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to be all encompassing. It is, when we say core values, it's no, really no kidding. This is what matters. And that does not mean that everything else doesn't.
This is what, absolutely right. And oftentimes we'll have core values on that list that if we really start digging, if our list is like bigger than 3, that they actually are secondary values to what's at the core. And so it's pushing to what is actually at that core of why these things are important to you. So, funny that I used integrity, but integrity is one of my personal core values. But I really wrestled with what does that mean to me and how do I test it? So first of all, you're allowed to put a definition behind the word.
Oh, you have to. You have to.
And it doesn't mean anything if you don't. So integrity for me is doing the right thing, especially when it's the hard thing and it's going to cost me something.
Yes.
It's going to be costly. My integrity is not tested if it is not expensive for me to stick to it. It's easy to do the right thing when the right thing doesn't come with a emotional, sometimes true dollar signs price tag, some kind of price tag to it. It's also at the core of when I think through my life and I think through what are some major decisions that have had to be made. What were the things I took into consideration when making that decision? And that's going to start to point you in the direction of what are your values. Showing up is a huge core value for me also.
Okay.
And show up, like, what does that mean? What does showing up mean? And showing up, it means I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do. I'm going to prioritize. I'm not willing to grow my business at the expense of missing out on my kids growing up. Some people make that trade-off. That's not one that I'm willing to make. Yeah. And it's not a judgment call. It's just, for me, showing up is like, I'm going to show up. I'm going to be there. And this is the order of priority for things I'm going to show up for. And so it really is that showing up is like being physically present, being emotionally present, being tuned in to the most important VIP people, in my life.
Yes.
So I think that was redundant. The VIPs in my life. But it really is thinking like, what were the things that when I make decisions, and that plays into when I decide, are we going to attempt a certain contract, or am I going to say yes to another volunteer position, or getting involved in something that would be a great opportunity for one part of my life, but it's going to cost me I'm going to have to not show up in other parts of my life. Am I willing to make that trade-off? These are the things that inform what is really important to me. So showing up for my VIPs, that is a huge priority in my life, because I have, whether I want to admit it or not, I make huge decisions based upon how is it going to impact that capacity that I have. Is this helpful?
Oh, I think it's beautiful. I think it's very clear too. It's what are the things that impact your decisions? What are the behaviors that you don't hope, but you honestly recognize are consistently reflect you out in the world? What could you not live without?
Yeah.
Is another question to ask yourself if you're trying to identify what matters to me. And I think that's another way to talk about values, is what's really important to you.
What am I not willing to miss?
Yeah.
Or
like in my own behaviors.
Yeah.
Because again, culture, are your values in action, and your expected behaviors are a reflection of those values in theory. And look at, where do I spend my time? Where do I spend my money?
Yes.
How do I make decisions? Who matters to me? All of that will help you. If you line that up, what will reflect back to you is, this is what I value. The things I'm not willing to negotiate on.
Yes. And what am I willing to be uncomfortable for? So I was listening. I can't take credit for this genius. I was listening to Brene Brown and Adam Grant have a conversation on a podcast.
Speaking of genius, yeah.
Yeah, right. And the rethinking conversation. And she just recently had a new book come out. And so she's been on tour. And so listening to them talk about this core values topic, and just last night, walking my dog, me and my dog walking in this and listening to them in my headphones, and the digging into core values, what am I willing to be uncomfortable for in the long term, often can point us to a core value. And Brene Brown's example was courage is one of her personal core values, and really getting to courage as, yes, this is a very solid core value. It is one of the critical, three, not a part of living out that value, which is where we get sticky. What she was talking about, she's willing to have a super hard, uncomfortable conversation, and it takes courage to have that conversation. And she's willing to be uncomfortable and be courageous. Courage isn't comfortable. Be courageous, have that hard conversation, because in the long term, it's going to be a lot more costly for her to live out of alignment with her values for short-term peace.
Exactly.
Versus the inverse of that. And we all have some version of that. So really thinking about, like, what are you willing to sacrifice, or have you historically sacrificed temporary comfort for long-term alignment with who you are, to where, like, this sits right in my soul.
This is important for human beings to do in general, yes, I believe.
Everyone.
And again, if you are going to step into a role where you have the responsibility for leading, guiding, managing other people in the workplace or elsewhere, you can lead from anywhere.
Yes, you can.
Recognizing that discomfort is going to be part of the equation when you lead, and that your values need to be very clear for you so that you can walk your talk.
Yep.
In that respect, it's going to make a lot of the difficulty easier, because it will drive your choices, it will define your behaviors, and it will help you create a legacy for yourself. And it's a way to self-assess as you continue to go through. And if you have aspirations to move up any chain of command, that can be the plumb line that you follow then.
Yes. Is this, will taking this position or opportunity keep me in alignment with myself? Or am I going to be asked to step out of alignment with my values, to the point where it will erode you? If you really start digging in with places where burnout, right? What is one of the biggest contributors to burnout? It's when we're asking people to act out of alignment with their values over and over and over again, but we're not using that language for it. But when you're put in that position repeatedly and it just isn't sitting right with you, like, we cannot sustain that for a long period of time without major repercussions.
Just to satisfy my own curiosity, I've heard two of your values now: integrity and showing up. What's your third?
People over profit.
Great.
That is a huge driver for my life. And they're all intertwined with each other, but yeah, people over profit, and how I define that. And I have an 80% overlap with my business values and my personal core values, but my personal core value work came first.
Yeah.
So, what that means, how do I define people over profit? It means that we use money for the love of people, not use people for the love of money.
It's beautiful, Layci.
So that is the choices I make. And it's costly sometimes in dollar signs and everything else.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not willing to step on people or to act out of alignment with that value in my personal life or in my professional life. Like, my word is my word, and yeah, I'll still sign a contract, but if I verbally tell you something, like, that is my integrity.
I think, unfortunately, in those moments of not succeeding, if you will, that's where being able to manage like a leader or lead like a manager becomes so important. I would say when companies manage to navigate those moments successfully, it's because leaders have stepped into the gap.
Yes.
In
Real
that
people
way.
Bridging the gap that way.
Yeah.
With their people that they know and respect.
Because again, people are watching. They are learning from you. Whether you view yourself as a manager or a leader, if you have responsibility for things that impact people in the workplace, you are being watched. So understanding the operations, being able to talk clearly about where everyone is headed, and having values that anchor you to your best self and to the work. Those are essential.
Yeah. And if you go a step further in like learning your people's core values that directly report to you,
that is a good takeaway too for people. When people seem to have a response that's not commiserate to the circumstances, one of the ways I like to close, if it feels right, is to ask if there are any kind of big ideas or key takeaways that you want to highlight before we wrap up.
Do your own uncomfortable work and uncovering your core values and looking back on for patterns in your life sometimes isn't so fun. And it also requires a high level of commitment to radical honesty with yourself. And I really encourage dig in and do it, because the dividends are so worth it on the other side. And it's already in you. It's not like you got to pull them out of thin air. It's just digging in and doing the work of being vulnerable enough with yourself and other people that process with it. You process it with you. Hold that mirror up for you and say, do you think this sounds right? And dig in and do that work. It is so worth it. So, key takeaway, every person leader, every person manager owes it to their own team to be doing the work, because you can only meet people as far as you've gone in yourself.
Yes, 100%. I think the next level exercise is to take those values to your team. If you don't already have them and you've done that work, to take those newly crafted values to your team and say, is this really me? Do you experience
do you see this?
Do you experience this?
Yeah.
Or am I, off my rocker?
Yeah.
Or even start with them to say, based on working for me, what would you say I value?
Yes, that is a great question. Yeah. And sometimes we don't like the answers.
That is exactly right. And you have to make it safe for people to share their honest opinions with you.
Yes.
But that sort of vulnerable act from the start will be a way to show that you care, you listen, that you're thinking about and prioritizing deep, important things, and that you have a long view as well as a view of what immediately needs to be done and accomplished.
Yeah.
So I think done done right, that could be a wildly powerful way to be with your people.
Oh, it will be a huge connection point, and it will probably encourage and inspire them to want to go down the same path and articulate their own.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. Great. Layci, thank you so much. This has been an absolute delight. I was not expecting to laugh as much. I knew it was going to be a good conversation, but you got to, we kind of magically fulfilled one of my values, which is good humor.
Awesome. Yeah. I love that.
Because we should be having a little bit of fun if we're going to spend our time on things.
Yes. I agree with that. I am aligned with that core value.
Well, I thank you. Starting in January 2026, the Comfy Chairs will officially become the Well-Led Podcast. What if being a leader worth following means being human, imperfect, and open to learning? This is Kate Johnson, owner of 123 Limited, and I want to invite you to discover how to care for, support, and even love the people you lead. Join me every Tuesday for the Well-Led Podcast.